guys, it's Whitney. Today's menu isn't actually a full meal, but instead we're gonna show you how to make appetizers and cocktails that are gonna wow your friends, and they're pretty easy to make. It's the classic cocktail party with plenty of stylish flair. I'm going to kick things off with my specialty cocktail, a big, refreshing jug of Minty Mojitos. For any guests who don't drink cocktails, I'll show you how to create a beautiful beer, wine, and non-alcoholic drink display as well. The first appetizer is a colorful Crudité platter, paired with a tangy red pepper dip. Next up are my spicy tuna cucumber rolls. It's like sushi with a fun twist. For a heartier option, I'll whip up some of my pork meatballs with a lemongrass dipping sauce that everyone will love. And finally, when it comes to easy appetizers, crostinis are king. I'll show you how to make a delicious crostini topped with figs and goat cheese. Ooh la la. So I always had an interest in cooking, and I decided to start taking cooking classes all around LA. I loved the classes and realized that I actually was pretty good at it. So in 2009, I decided to audition for a network reality cooking show, and lo and behold, I was cast. I was cut after the top 15, but one of the things I realized was that I really wanted to quit my 9-to-5 job and pursue my passion of cooking, so I decided to start teaching classes myself. I currently teach cocktail party menus at a couple different schools in LA, and one of the things my students are always saying is they don't know how to throw the classic cocktail party. They don't know what to serve, and they don't know how to make it look stylish. I mean, how many parties have you been to where they just throw out some beer and wine and maybe some chips and dip and call it a day? Too many. For me, a cocktail party is really a chance to showcase your style. If you plan ahead, you can pull it off without stressing at all, and it will be a great opportunity to show your friends and family what a stylish person you are. So get cozy for a bit, because I'm gonna show you how to wow your friends. I'm gonna share some of my secret entertaining tips and appetizer recipes, and when this is done, you'll be able to throw the classic cocktail party like a pro. When you're having a cocktail party, it's important to have a signature cocktail. It's the star of the night, right? My favorite signature cocktail is my Minty Mojitos. Not only does it leave everyone's breath nice and minty and fresh for chatting, but it's really easy to make in big batches ahead of time. When I was in college, I actually had the opportunity to go to Cuba for a week, and you can bet I did my fair share of mojito tasting all around Havana. By now, I think I've got the perfect recipe down, and I'm gonna share it with you. To start things off, what you wanna do is make your mint simple syrup. It's the secret to a really minty mojito. To make the simple syrup, bring a cup of water to a boil and throw in 2 mint tea bags. Let that steep for a couple minutes, just as if you were gonna be making mint tea, and remove the tea bags and give them a nice squeeze so you get all that mint extracted from the tea bags. And bring the water back to a boil with a cup of sugar. This is your basic recipe for a simple syrup. It's just gonna be concentrated with that mint flavor. Once the sugar starts dissolving and the water is boiling, go ahead and just cut it off from the heat and let it thicken. Simple syrup lasts for days, so you can do this at the beginning of the week if you're gonna be having your cocktail party towards the end of the week. So now that you're done with your mint simple syrup, all you have to do is assemble the drink. You wanna get a nice big pitcher, pour your rum in, and next up is the lime juice. You wanna look for limes that are nice and ripe and soft to the touch, because that means they have more juice in them, versus the ones that are really rock hard, they won't have a lot to squeeze out. And in a pinch, you can use bottled lime juice if you want, because this is a big batch recipe and it takes a lot of limes. Pour all that simple syrup that you made in and give it a nice stir around so that everything mixes together. All these ingredients can be mixed a day ahead and sitting in your refrigerator so that the flavors get stronger. So the night of your party, you're gonna set your pitcher out with some glasses, a nice bowl of ice, some mint sprigs, and club soda. I like to get lime flavored club soda, but if you can't find it, regular old club soda or seltzer water will work just fine. Fill the glasses with ice and pour in the mojito mixture till about 3/4 of the way up the glass. You then want to top it with the seltzer water and garnish it with a mint sprig. At my cocktail parties, I like to put a little sign out that says what the cocktail is, what goes in it, and it's a really cute, fun, festive way to gather people over to the area where the drinks are, get them mingling and socializing and kind of get the energy up. Depending on how many people you're having over, you can double or triple this recipe and constantly have that pitcher of mix ready and available for your guests. So that's it. The easy Minty Mojito that everyone will love, everyone will have nice, fresh breath, and you'll be the hit of the party. The mojitos are delicious, but not everyone drinks hard alcohol, so when you're throwing a cocktail party, it's a really nice thing to have a beer and wine option as well. I also like to have a non-alcoholic option just for anybody who isn't drinking, or if you have any friends that are pregnant, you want them to have fun at the party too. So here's the deal about the wine and beer. You don't really just want to run out to the store and buy a 6-pack of the beer you would have every day or the beer you had in college. You really want to put some extra thought into what you're going to be giving your guests. So you really want to pick a wine and a beer that people will be impressed with. When it comes to beer, I like to go to my local market and see sort of what's in season or what the specialty brew is. You can sort of base what beer you serve around the time of year. So pick a microbrew or a specialty beer that piques your interest and that seems like it falls in line with the season. For a wine option, I always like to serve white wine because you never want to have that accidental spill of red wine. The other thing is, I find that people often bring red wine just because it doesn't have to be chilled. So you might be covered if someone brings it, but for your setup, stick with white wine just so that you're safe and covered. I like to keep my white wine nice and light. So look for a Pinot Grigio or a Sauvignon Blanc, something that's just going to be a crisp, nice, light option and not too heavy. So what you want to do is you want to have the beer and the wine over ice, chilling when your guests arrive. You need to find either a bucket or a bowl or some sort of big enough vessel to hold enough ice and about 2 bottles of wine and 6 bottles of beer to start. Depending on how many guests you have, one of the things that I always like to tell my students is you can always stash ice and wine and beer in your bathtub to keep it chilled so that it doesn't take over room in your fridge and freezer. You also need to have some options for people who aren't drinking. You don't just want to throw out some soda and water. You want to make it lively and inviting and show that you put thought into it so that they're having a great time too. I like to put out a mixed concoction of things that I have on hand. I use old glass bottles or pitchers to create sparkling waters with either a juice combination or fresh herbs or citrus. It's just so beautiful to look at and inviting, and even people who are drinking might wander over with just the curiosity of what is in those glass bottles. People can kind of pick their poison, if you will, and combine a little bit of the sparkling water with lemon, with a little bit of the juice infused with lemongrass. They can sort of create their own little specialty cocktail, and it doesn't have any alcohol in it. So we have our signature cocktail, our beer and wine covered, and our non-alcoholic section. My tip to you is really just get creative with this. Serve things that you wouldn't normally see at your average party or in your everyday situation. Get colorful, get creative, and let people have fun with their drinks. Now it's time for the appetizers. To start off, we're gonna take something simple like a crudité platter and show you how to amplify it. It's a really nice option to get in lots of color, lots of different vegetables, and plate it in a way that just has so much variety and fun that people will definitely be drawn towards it. I'm not talking about just throwing some carrots and celery on a plate with some ranch dressing. We're taking the crudité platter to another level. Here's how you do it right. So the first thing you want to do is make your red pepper dip. Buy a jar of roasted red peppers, throw them in the Cuisinart with some cumin, garlic, lemon juice, breadcrumbs, toasted walnuts, and your pomegranate molasses. Pomegranate molasses is one of those ingredients that you might have to find at a specialty store or order online, but I promise you, you won't regret it. It's a very trendy thing to be using in food right now. It's really great in sauces and marinades, so you'll use the whole bottle in no time. And it's a really fun talking point for when you're telling people about your dip. You can say that you put pomegranate molasses in, and it's an instant sort of sexy, exotic ingredient that people are gonna be intrigued by. So once it's all in the Cuisinart, you can start whizzing it all together, and you wanna add your olive oil in a slow, steady stream. This will bring it all together and create a smooth, nice consistency for your dip. Now it's time for the veggies. I like to recommend that you shop for your vegetables at the farmer's market, or at least go to your market and try and find what's seasonal. So for this platter, I got carrots, fresh fennel, raw beets, potatoes in 2 different colors, endive, tomatoes, orange bell peppers, and cucumber. Whatever you like, feel free to get creative with this and offer lots of variety of vegetables. For the things like tomatoes or the side of potatoes, anything that you don't want to necessarily pick up with your hands, you want to offer toothpicks or skewers on the side. For all the other veggies, you really want to keep them in nice slices that are all about the same size. I love to serve vegetables in a dramatic way because they're pretty simple, so I like to serve them in little glasses and stack them vertically so that they look like little flower arrangements and not just sort of sitting on a platter. It's a really fun way to play with the different sizes, and if you have a variety of glasses, you can mix and match so that everything sort of has a different height and its own little personality to it. So you can serve this on a nice big tray with the dip in the middle, and it just looks really beautiful on display. So that's it. That's how you take a basic crudité platter and elevate it to the next level by making it dramatic and colorful and inviting and just different than anything you've ever seen. Now for the seafood option. This is one of my favorite things to serve at my cocktail parties because it's so easy and it looks really beautiful. They are my spicy tuna cucumber rolls. So here's how you make them. The first thing you want to do is make your spicy mayo. All it is mayonnaise and sriracha. Sriracha is one of those Asian ingredients that's sort of like Tabasco. It's a very spicy, chili-based paste that adds a lot of kick to your sauces. So you want to combine your mayonnaise and sriracha, stir it around, and then set it aside. Now it's time to work on the tuna. You want to look for the ahi-grade sushi tuna. It's got really nice color and a really nice texture that will allow it to be evenly diced and hold up in the cucumber rolls and not get too mushy. This is going to be served raw, so you definitely want to splurge a little bit on the quality and make sure that you're getting the freshest piece of tuna that you can find. What you want to do is stack it up and slice it small enough so that it will fit into the cucumber roll and hold together. Take your diced tuna and put it in a glass bowl. Take your chives, and you can use scissors to snip them or just chop them finely on your cutting board. But add in your chives. Now pour in your soy sauce, your sesame oil, and your chili oil. Don't forget you're topping these with your spicy mayo, so don't overdo it on the chili oil. You're gonna get a nice kick from that spicy mayonnaise. Stir that all together and set it aside. So that's it. That's the filling for the tuna rolls. Now it's time to work on the cucumbers. What you want to look for when buying these cucumbers is the Japanese or English variety. They're the longer ones that sometimes are wrapped in plastic at the store. This is going to allow for longer strips, and you can actually eat the skins and the seeds of this variety of cucumber. You really want to get as thin of a slice as you can. So I like to use either a mandolin or a peeler, and you have to really press down when using a peeler. We're looking for long, thin strips, otherwise the rolls won't stand up and stay together. Now that we have our cucumber strips and our filling, place just a teaspoon of filling in each cucumber strip. Any more and it will be too big and too large and won't hold together. Top them with toasted black sesame seeds. This is a really nice color contrast against that red tuna and the green cucumbers. Finish it off with that spicy mayonnaise. You either use your piping bag or your squeezy bottle, whatever you have, and put a little dollop on top of each one. There you have it. Those are the spicy tuna cucumber rolls. It's a nice, healthy, light option for an appetizer. It's elegant and sophisticated, especially because you're using sushi-grade tuna. It's a new way to use cucumbers, so I think your friends will be really impressed with this dish. Now we've got our veggies and our seafood covered. but we really need something warm and hearty. So we're doing meatballs. I love to serve meatballs at parties because who doesn't love meatballs? And you can use toothpicks to pick them up and pop them in your mouth, and it's really easy to do. I'm a big fan of sliders and mini burgers at a party, but they leave your hands really greasy and messy, and you have to go find a napkin. So this is a really good option to have a meat without having the fuss of a slider. So what you want to do is remove the meat from the casing in the sausage and combine that in a bowl with just your regular ground pork. I love to use pork because it doesn't dry out like chicken does, and it just sort of retains that moisture. To that, you want to add in your minced garlic, lemongrass, and ginger, along with your chopped cilantro. Now pour in your soy sauce and mix that all together. You want to make sure to just get everything nice and blended so that each meatball has an even distribution of all those yummy flavors. When forming the meatballs, err on the side of smaller versus larger. Remember, these are bite-sized little nibbles for your guests, not big meatballs that you'd serve in a dish of spaghetti. Roll them into little balls and set them aside on a sheet pan until you're ready to saute them. Make sure that when you're using a saute pan, it's oven safe because you're going to start these guys on the stove and then put them in the oven to finish cooking. If you don't have a pan that's oven safe and it has one of those plastic handles, you can cover the handle with foil and it will be just fine to put in your oven. Put enough meatballs in to cover the pan, and you want to start browning them. Because they're so small, they really won't take long, just about a minute or two per side. Once all sides are browned, pop the whole pan in the oven and let them finish off. This should only take about 5 to 10 minutes, but if you're curious, you might want to take one out just to cut into to make sure it's all cooked through. Once they're done in the oven, go ahead and just take them out and let them rest on the side while you make your lemongrass creme fraiche. This is the dipping sauce you're going to use for the meatballs. It's a really nice, cool, creamy option to have, and it goes really well with these flavors. Take a tub of creme fraiche, add in some minced lemongrass, the zest and juice of 2 limes, and a little bit of salt. Stir that all together, and there you have it. There's your sauce. So to plate these, find a big bowl to put all your meatballs in, and you want to serve that alongside just a small jar of toothpicks. This allows people to take 1 or 2 meatballs, get a little dipping sauce, and be interactive and mingling while they're snacking on your delicious treats. So there you have it, the Asian pork meatballs. Make plenty, because I promise you these will be flying off the plate. For the final appetizer, you want to offer something with bread and cheese. You usually see cheese and crackers at a cocktail party, but this is a fancier, much more elegant way of presenting those two things in a crostini. A crostini is really just a sliced, toasted baguette that you can serve a variety of toppings on. In this case, we're doing a goat cheese fig topping. I love this because figs are one of those fruits that are just a little bit exotic and different, but you can usually find them now at your average grocery store. Plus, we've had veggies and meat and seafood at the party. Now we have our fruit covered. I like to pair figs and goat cheese because goat cheese has sort of that tangy taste to it. It's also just a really lovely cheese to use and definitely something that your guests will be impressed with. So the first thing you want to do is you want to slice your baguette on the bias. What that means is just cutting it at an angle, so you get bigger slices of bread with a more dramatic angle to them. Once you have all your bread sliced, you want to brush it with olive oil and either pop it in a low oven until it's nice and golden, or grill it on a grill pan or an outdoor grill. Once your bread is toasted, you want to get your goat cheese and just spread enough so that it covers each piece of toast. This is usually about a tablespoon, but it depends what kind of cheese you get and how spreadable it is. Definitely look for the kind that has a light, fluffy, airy texture so that it's easy to spread on like whipped cream cheese. Next, you're going to work on your figs. Feel free to use green and purple so that you have a variety of colors. Slice them thin and in even rounds so that when you top your cheese, you can overlap slightly and they're all about the same size. And I usually calculate about 1 fig for every 2 slices of bread. If you can't find figs at your local grocery store or farmer's market, purple and green grapes are a nice alternative option here. Top your slices of figs with some torn basil. Basil is a great option because it's just got that really vibrant green color and it's a really fresh flavor that you can find all year round. Now you're going to make your sauce to drizzle over the top. take your honey and mix it together with some coarsely ground black pepper. Slowly drizzle in your olive oil and mix it all together with a fork. Drizzle it slowly over each of the crostinis using the fork so that the honey and the oil and the pepper gets just a little bit on each slice of bread. You want to top each one with just a little bit of sea salt. I like to plate this on either a nice big platter or a rustic cutting board, just so it looks really bountiful and the bright colors of the fig just look really great with that goat cheese underneath. So that's it. That's the crostini recipe. It covers our bread and our cheese. People love them at parties. They're really just such a nice thing to offer and to have on hand. They're easy to make ahead of time and in big batches, so it's a great thing to have in your back pocket for any cocktail party. If you want to tackle this menu for your next cocktail party, here's the game plan. The day before the party, slice all the veggies for the crudité. You can store them in Ziploc bags with ice cubes so they stay crisp. Whip up the red pepper spread, form the meatballs and keep them in the fridge, uncooked, covered in plastic wrap. Make the spicy mayo for the tuna rolls and the lemongrass creme fraiche for the meatballs. Lastly, make any signs, tags, or labels for the bar station. The morning of the party, toast the baguette slices. Then, make your mojito mix with everything but the fresh mint. Slice the cucumbers for the spicy tuna rolls because that can take a little time. And finally, make your non-alcoholic beverages. 30 minutes before guests arrive, put your meatballs in the oven to bake. Set up the drink station. Assemble the crostini, plate the crudité so your guests have something to nibble on when they get there, and assemble the spicy tuna rolls. You want to do this right before so the tuna isn't sitting out too long before your guests arrive. While your guests are mingling, plate all your appetizers and set them out for your guests to enjoy. So that's it. That's how you make the classic cocktails and appetizer party. I'm telling you, try this menu out. You will be a huge hit with your friends. Not only will they be impressed, but appetizers will be flying off the platters and everyone will have a great time.